Hi everyone, welcome to today's Zoobrary edition. My name is Keeper Allison and we are going to read Turtle's First Winter. This was written and illustrated by Sarah Beth Videtto. This is a timely book to read because we are headed into spring. Yay! Everything's gonna start blooming, animals are gonna start coming out of hibernation, and one of the big groups of animals around here that we haven't seen all winter are the turtles. I've actually seen quite a few around the zoo recently. On the nice days when it gets warm, they'll come up out of the water and bask on the logs. So be sure to look for that the next time you guys head through the zoo. All right, let's get started. Here you can see a turtle and a bear. For those of you Holly Bear fans, you can pretend this is her. Say hello to Turtle. Hello, Turtle. What a cute little guy. Turtle loved summer. He loved the cool shade from his tree and how the soft green grass tickled his toes. But most of all, Turtle loved that his best friend Bear was always around. One day, when Bear and Turtle were enjoying a gentle breeze, Bear turned to Turtle and said, "Do you smell that, Turtle? The air is starting to smell like fall." What does fall smell like to you? Maybe crisp apples? Maybe pumpkin spice? "What do you mean?" asked Turtle. Bear replied that the leaves, grass, and much else will change. "But I don't want things to change. I love the leaves and grass the way they are," said Turtle. Bear smiled gently. "You will love fall, I promise." And Bear was right. Turtle loved fall. Do you guys think Turtle is jumping in those leaves? How good would a turtle be at jumping with his short little legs that don't come very far out of his shell? He could do little jumps, I think. Weeks passed and soon Bear said to Turtle, "Winter is near. Are you ready for winter? We will need to hibernate." Turtle crunched the leaves between his feet and smelled the crisp air. "But I love fall. I don't want winter to come." This sounds familiar. I feel like he said the same thing when fall was coming. Turtle tucked his head inside his shell. "I don't like change. I'm just going to stay here and hide in my shell," something turtles are very good at. Bear became very serious. "It is very important you prepare for winter, Turtle. Talk to Wise Owl. She will help you understand." Honestly, that's good advice for life. If you're having trouble with something, find a wise owl and have a chat. Early that evening, Turtle went to see Wise Owl, who had just woken up from a lovely sleep. "Excuse me, Wise Owl, may I speak with you?" "Why, of course, Turtle. Come sit on my rock. What would you like to talk about?" That is a perfect owl home right in that nest. Bear said fall was going to end, and that when it did, I would need to hibernate. I don't want fall to end. I don't want to hibernate. Bear is right, Turtle. change cannot be stopped. Find a home for winter. Then you will be ready and you will be happy. Perhaps this rock will do? Wise owl does it again. Turtle looked under the rock. It was perfect. Of course it was. Wise owl told him it would be. Perfect rock ceiling, perfect soft dirt, perfect rock home, and it was even near his friends. Day after day, the air became cooler and cooler until nearly all the leaves had fallen. Bear looked up at the sky. Turtle looked at Bear. It's time to hibernate, isn't it? Yes, Turtle, it is time. I'll miss you, Bear. I'll miss you too, Turtle. Turtle tunneled under the rock until he found the perfect spot. Then he made his bed, closed his eyes, and went to sleep. Because that's what hibernation is, a very long sleep. What a perfect tunnel he made. Soon after Turtle closed his eyes, the snow began to fall. And the snow continued to fall for weeks and weeks. So now you see Turtle under, and Owl still in his tree. Months later, Turtle began to feel warmer. He opened his eyes. Perhaps the snow is melting. Perhaps it is spring. Let's see. Turtle crawled on top of his rock. Bear was right there to greet him. Bear, he said excitedly. It's spring, isn't it? Yes, Turtle, it is spring. Oh, Bear, said Turtle, it's all so beautiful. Bear smiled gently and said, I thought you would love spring. Bear knows his friend pretty well. And Bear was right. Turtle loved spring. That's it, the end. Okay, so for today's animal guests, Turtle-palooza. Have I got turtles for you? We have quite a few turtles that live here at our zoo. One of them is behind me, but she's taking a little rest. I'll turn it so that... Oh no, you can't even see her on camera. All right, we will look at her in a few minutes. I'll start with the turtles that are ready. So, we have an awful lot of turtles here. Now, most of them that are with us are special needs. Through no fault of their own. We have turtles that used to be someone's pet, and maybe their former owner didn't quite have a handle on the care that goes into turtles. For a turtle and a turtle shell, which they wear full time, a turtle cannot come out of its shell. They need very special food and very special lights to be able to help that food turn into what they need for their shells to grow. So some of the turtles we have here have shell issues. I'm going to show you one of our friends. I'm going to pull her out of the water back here. Her name is Dorinda. And she is a red-eared slider. This is a turtle that people are very familiar with because they get them as pets when they're about this big. And they have them in a tank, and they feed them turtle food, and hopefully they give them the right lighting, which would be a UV light and a heat lamp. Dorinda did not have that. So instead of her shell being nice and smooth and rounded and domed, her shell is all messed up. She has all these crevices and bumps, and I'm going to turn her to the side so that you can even see in the back. For a turtle, she's hanging out of her shell. So her shell's not even protecting her back here. So if Dorinda was in the wild, she would now be vulnerable to predators who can get at her soft skin because it's not protected by the shell. And for people who have red-eared sliders, they will often take care of them when they're little and it's fun, and then they will try to release them into their local ponds when they are too big and they don't want to take care of a turtle tank anymore. Now that's not a good idea because this turtle has become used to humans bringing it food. It doesn't know how to search for food on its own, and they're usually not going to do very well. So that's Dorinda's story. I'll put her back. Thank you. And our next turtle is our most impatient turtle. She likes to be the star, so she doesn't like to wait her turn. Hello, Angel. This is Delilah, and Delilah is our box turtle, an eastern box turtle. We have these around here. Their shells can look very different from Delilah's. I have a couple examples of those. This is a shell that I found in the wild. There's no turtle inside because that turtle did pass, and the shell is what's left behind along with the bones. You can even see the spine in there. But this pattern compared to Dorinda's pattern, similar but not exactly the same. Let me see if I have another one. Oh, this one does not have the scales on it anymore. So this is a really old one. You can see that it's cracked. So this is just the bony material. And then on the inside, you can see the spine there. So yes, the turtles are absolutely connected to their shell. Wherever the shell goes, the turtle goes, and vice versa. But some box turtles that you see, it could be very dark on the shell. They could be very light like Dorinda. They could be very orange. They could be very yellow. So there's a lot of variety there, but it's all the same turtle. And these guys are not swimmers. So I'm going to give you a close-up of her foot, and you'll notice that she is not webbed. So these are for digging. These are not for swimming. So box turtles should never ever go, you shouldn't take them to the water and put them in the water. If you guys find a box turtle that needs help across a road, we ask that you only move them safely to where they're headed. We don't want you to put them in your car and drive them 7 miles because then you're out of their territory. These guys only have about a mile square that they call home, and that's where they stay their whole life. Now I'm going to show you the back side of Dorinda. Some people call it her best side. That right there, she's missing a chunk of her shell. And that is why she's here with us. Delilah was crossing a road, and she didn't make it all the way across before a car clipped her. So she had an injury here to the shell. Her tail is now vulnerable to predators, and she did also kind of get hit in the noggin, and she no longer hides in her shell, and that can be dangerous for a turtle in the wild. So she lives with us here at the zoo full time, and she's very spoiled. Right now she wants to walk around the floor, so I'm going to let her do that. All right, next up, another box turtle. Now this one came to us kind of the same as Delilah, but very small, and she was very confused, kind of tilted to the side, and she could only move in a circle. So we got her nice and healthy. I'm gonna get some of the dirt off of her face. We got her nice and healthy. This is a 3-year-old box turtle. Dorinda is in her 20s. I keep saying Dorinda. Delilah is in her 20s. This is a 3-year-old box turtle. So this is as big as they get in 3 years. And they should spend their time, the first 3 to 4 years, hiding under leaves, under logs, under dirt. If you see a small box turtle like this, let them do their thing. Don't pick them up and bring them into your house because they're adorable and you want to make them their pet, because they have turtle business out there. You don't ever want to remove an animal from the wild and put it in your house. That's not where they want to be, and that's not where they should be. If they're lucky enough to have found a spot in the wild to call their own, let's leave them there. But 04, which is her unofficial name, is with us because of her previous head injury. Most likely she was picked up by a bird when she was a hatchling and dropped because she was found in a parking lot. Nowhere near where box turtles should have been. So that's our tiny, adorable 04. Now, if you're looking at her and you're saying, keep her, Allison, there's no way you're going to show us a smaller turtle than this. Well, well. You would be incorrect because I do have one. Not much smaller, but still smaller. Ta-da! Now this one might be difficult for you guys to recognize because of the size. This is a very, very dark colored water turtle. Does anybody have a guess? It's a snapper. So this little baby was brought to us and her name is Toka. I want to say September, October, November, December. She is about 5 months now, almost 6 months. So this is a 6-month-old snapping turtle with a zoo diet, so she gets plenty of food. There's how long her tail is. Now she was brought to us by a good good Samaritan, who noticed her again in a parking lot. She was very dry. She was about this big, and the lady thought that she honestly was not alive. But she took her home, put her in some water, and did a good job of trying to revive her. But she noticed something about Toka, which is kind of hard for you guys to see on camera. I'm going to bring her as close as I can. Toka was born without eyes. There you go, there's a good look. So right there, past her nose and her beak, she should have 2 small eyeballs right there, 1 right there. But she does not. And it's just like that sometimes. When they hatch out of the egg, if they have some kind of disability or a birth defect or something that wasn't quite right when they were born, they're going to become food. They're going to become food for a bird, food for a possum, food for a raccoon. And that's just how it is in the wild, the great big circle of life that we all know and love from The Lion King. Now the other thing with Toka is that she has a deformed shell. So back here where it should be nice and rounded, you can see she's got part of her little booty sticking out right there. So that's skin instead of shell. So while her shell was forming in the egg, it got pushed up like that instead of being round. And she has a pretty varied diet. I feed her some turtle pellets, and I feed her some fish, and I feed her some shrimp and mealworms and all kinds of stuff because snappers love to eat. And she's gonna grow really quickly, so check back in a few months to see if she's the size of my hand yet. Now, again, you may be thinking to yourself, Keeper Allison, I noticed that we're going down in size, but there's no way you can have a turtle smaller than Toka. Well, get yourselves ready for Janelle Jr. Oh my goodness, look at this guy. Now, we have recently discovered, because it is hard to tell the gender of a turtle when they're tiny, but we have recently discovered that the previously named Janelle Jr., which you would think of as a girl name, but here at the zoo, we don't do that. Names don't have a gender. It just is what it is. Janelle Jr. is a boy. And this is a little musk turtle, also called a stink pot. And this one has an even cooler story. So, I'll bring her close. Bring him close. Now I can start saying him. He's gonna take a peek because he's a super creeper. He likes to see himself. You are very handsome. So Janelle Jr. came to us because someone that I know was doing a little yard work and accidentally dug up an egg or two while they were pulling out some bushes. One of the eggs accidentally got a crack in it. Now, reptile eggs are a lot different than bird eggs. They do not have a hard shell, they have a soft shell. So the crack did not necessarily kill the egg. So I said, let me see what I can do. And we had him here at the zoo, and we incubated the egg. And we hatched out Janelle Jr. Now the only issue that we've had with Janelle Jr. is the size, because this turtle is almost 2 years old and is still this small. Should be much bigger than this. Now these guys, the stink pots, if you guys come to the zoo, look how small, I love him. If you guys come to the zoo, you're gonna see them all through our water. Stink pots are the ones that stay in the shallow parts of the water, and they kind of patrol through real sneaky like, and they eat anything they can find, whether it's bugs, fish, animal parts from dead animals that might have found their way into the water, and some vegetation. But musk turtles, or stink pots, whichever one you want to call them, they also are famous for climbing out of the water and hanging on trees. So they'll go as high as they can onto a branch. I'm talking 5-6 feet over the water, and just bask there all day while the sun's shining. And then they're not scared of heights, because they know that if they get nervous or they spot a predator, or sometimes when our people are walking through the zoo, they're like, wow, they will just dive off of the branch straight down into the water, and it's all good. So that was the end of the line. I don't have any smaller turtles than that yet. We'll see what happens this spring. Now for you guys, when you're doing your nature walks or your wildlife discovery time at home, it's okay to look at the turtles. Sometimes they're gonna run from you. Let them do that. Let them do their thing. You just wanna be an observer. You don't wanna be messing with them. But the biggest thing that I want you to remember, don't take them home. Leave them in the wild. That's where they're supposed to be. So I have a few more turtles here that you guys can check out the next time you're in the zoo. That it's that situation. They were turtle napped from the wild, and instead of being able to live out their life in the wild, now they're stuck here with me, which is like, you know, give or take, I don't know. I think they're fans, but I'm not sure. But it's not the life that they were meant to have. So for the springtime, be kind to the animals. And you guys are gonna start seeing plenty of things coming out of hibernation. So good luck and happy adventures.